The smell of sizzling beef and caramelized onions has always been my soundtrack. Every morning, when the city of Seattle is still yawning awake, I unlock the side hatch of Marco's Grill, my old food cart on 3rd Avenue, and let the familiar hiss of the griddle fill the cold air. For 12 years, that sound has meant stability. Predictability. A life that, while small, was mine. By the time the first rush of office workers lines up, I've already burned my fingertips twice and wiped sweat off my brow with the same grease-stained towel I've used for years. I move with a rhythm carved into muscle memory: flip, press, stack, wrap, smile. It isn't passion that keeps me here, but something steadier. It pays the bills, keeps the lights on, and lets me come home every night to Sophia. Even saying her name in my head softens something inside me. She's 35, sharp as cut glass, her auburn hair catching the streetlight like fire when she visits after work. A financial planner by profession, she's the kind of woman who could talk a banker into giving her an extra loan just by smiling. One day we'll have our own restaurant, Marco, she'd tell me, resting her head on my shoulder after long days. You'll cook, I'll handle the money, and we'll finally live big. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? That belief began to crack one rainy October afternoon. The streets were slick, and the mist had turned everything silver. I was halfway through making a salmon salad for Mrs. Carter, a retired teacher, who always paid in quarters, when my phone buzzed in my apron pocket. It was Ethan, my college buddy. He ran a small tech repair shop on Capitol Hill. I had dropped off Sophia's laptop there last week. It had been running slow, overheating a lot. Nothing major. Hey, man, I shouted over the grill's sizzle. Can it wait? I'm drowning in orders. Ethan's voice came through, clipped and uneasy. Marco, you need to come now. It's about Sophia's laptop. Something in his tone stopped me cold. What's wrong? Virus. Not a virus, he said. You just need to see this for yourself. Hurry. The call ended. No explanation. No jokes. Ethan was never the dramatic type, which made the silence that followed even heavier. I tossed my apron to Louis, my assistant, mumbled something about an errand, and climbed into my truck. The drive across town was a blur of rain-smeared lights and wet asphalt. My thoughts ran wild. Maybe Sophia's client data had leaked, or she'd been hacked. Still, the unease in Ethan's voice gnawed at me. When I reached his shop, Ethan looked pale. He locked the door behind me, flipped the open sign to closed, and gestured to the back room. Sophia's laptop was open on a cluttered desk, screen glowing softly. I replaced the fan, he began, but when I ran diagnostics, I found encrypted folders buried deep. I almost didn't open them, but I recognized your name. My name. He clicked a folder labeled Accounts. My breath caught. There it was, my life insurance policy. My name, age, address, payout amount, $1.2 million. I frowned. Sophia handles our finances. Maybe she's just keeping records. Ethan didn't answer. He opened another folder, my parents' insurance documents. Then more, files of men I didn't know. Each folder had details: name, city, policy number, payout. Dozens of them. Daniel Reed, Portland. Nathan Holt, Spokane, Ethan murmured. All men around your age. All with big life insurance policies. A chill ran through me. You think she's hacking insurance companies? He shook his head slowly. I think she's collecting something. My stomach twisted. Ethan, this is her personal laptop. He nodded grimly. Exactly. The rain had turned to a downpour by the time I reached home. I parked, staring up at our apartment window glowing warmly against the gray. Inside, the air smelled of rosemary and garlic. Sophia stood by the stove, humming softly. She looked up and smiled, that effortless, dazzling smile. "Hey, chef," she said, "beef stew tonight." "How was work?" "Busy," I said, forcing a grin. "Ethan fixed your laptop. Said it was a battery issue." For just a moment, her eyes flickered, so quick I almost missed it. "Oh? That's good," she said, turning back to the pot. "You didn't open anything, did you?" Her voice was casual, but I heard it, the tension beneath it. "Nah," I lied, hanging my coat. That night, I lay awake beside her. She slept peacefully, one hand resting on my chest. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment in my head. That flicker in her eyes, the folders on her computer, Ethan's pale face. Something inside me whispered that the woman I trusted most was hiding something dark. Over the next few weeks, the signs multiplied. Sophia started locking her home office. She changed her passwords every few days. She took phone calls on the balcony late at night, her voice low and urgent. "Client," she'd say when I asked, then kiss me on the cheek before heading out again. I tried to convince myself it was work stress, but the doubts grew louder. Then there was Leo, my younger brother. A charmer, always drifting from one failed venture to another. Suddenly, he was visiting often, hanging around Sophia when I wasn't home. "She's helping me invest," he said once, flashing a new gold watch. "Sis is smart, man. You're lucky." Lucky. The word stung. One rainy evening, I came home early and caught them at Sophia's desk. A sleek black briefcase lay open between them. She snapped it shut the moment she saw me. "You're back," she said too quickly. "Leo's just learning about stocks." Leo laughed nervously. "Yeah, man. She's teaching me all the financial stuff I missed in school." Something inside me went cold. I smiled, nodded, and walked away. But that night, while Sophia showered, I sat alone in the living room, listening to the water run and the storm outside beat against the windows. I didn't want to believe what my mind was telling me, but every instinct screamed that something was terribly wrong. The next morning, after she left for work, I sat at her desk. The laptop was there, gleaming innocently. My hands trembled as I typed in our anniversary, our old password. It opened, the same folders were there, but deeper inside were files I hadn't seen before. Obituaries. Accident reports. Daniel Reed, boating accident. Nathan Holt, car crash. Each man dead, each insurance payout listing the same mysterious beneficiary initials, S. Leno.my name. My wife. Then I found my own file again. Life insurance policy, Marco Leno. Beneficiary, Sophia Leno. Status, active. For a long time, I couldn't move. Couldn't think. My chest tightened, my mouth went dry, and my vision blurred. Sophia had done this before. Again and again. And now, I realized with a clarity that froze me to the core. I was next. I shut the laptop, my hands shaking so hard I could barely breathe. Everything, the dinners, the laughter, the talk of opening a restaurant, had been part of a lie I hadn't seen coming. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched the woman beside me, her breathing slow, her face serene. The woman I loved more than anything, and the woman who, I now knew, might be planning my death. Trust, I thought, is like glass. Once cracked, it never really becomes whole again, and I had just stepped barefoot into its shards. When you find out the person you love has been building your coffin behind a smile, something inside you breaks, quietly, but completely. 4 days, I moved through life like a ghost. I cooked at the cart, served regulars, smiled when they asked about Sophia, and pretended my world wasn't hanging by a thread. But inside, I was unraveling. I knew I couldn't confront her without proof. Sophia was too clever, too composed. If she realized I knew, I might not live long enough to see the truth uncovered. So I did the one thing I never thought I'd do. I asked for help. Tom Harlan was a regular at my cart, a retired private investigator with a grizzled beard and a permanent coffee cup in his hand. He used to joke that he'd seen enough betrayal in his career to last 3 lifetimes. When I told him everything, he didn't laugh. He just looked at me for a long moment, then said quietly, "You sure you want to know what you're married to?" I nodded. He charged me $2,500, money I'd been saving to one day open my restaurant. It hurt, but not as much as the thought of dying without answers. A week later, Tom slid a manila folder across my counter while ordering his usual burger. "You'll want to sit down for this one," he said. Inside were photos, documents, and records that made my blood run cold. Sophia had been married 4 times before me. 4 men. 4 tragic accidents. A drowning, a fall, a car crash, and a gas leak. Each time, she had been the beneficiary of their life insurance. Each time, she changed her name and disappeared. By the time she married me, she had collected over $7 million. I stared at her old wedding photos. The hair color changed, the name changed, but the eyes, those bright intelligent eyes, were the same. The same woman who now cooked dinner in my kitchen and called me love. Tom wasn't finished. "Your brother's in deep too," he said. "Money's moving from Sophia's accounts into his. And there's another man, Vince Kerr. Career fraudster. He's been meeting her at parking lots. My guess. He helps her stage the accidents." I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as Tom placed a small black device in front of me, a recorder. "I planted this under her desk when I came by last week to fix your smoke alarm. Listen to the last file." Her voice filled the tiny speaker. "Calm. Cold. Beautiful. Brakes fail on the hill by the cart," she said. "Vince handles it. Then his parents. You're set, love." Leo's voice followed, soft, nervous. "Sophia, what if he finds out?" "He won't," she replied smoothly. "He trusts me. That's his weakness." I felt my stomach drop. Every word pierced deeper than the last. The person I had trusted with my heart was calmly plotting my death, with my own brother's help. By the next morning, the police had the recording, the laptop backup Ethan had saved, and the report Tom had compiled. Detective Carla Ruiz, who handled financial crimes, promised to keep things discreet. "We'll get her, Marco," she said. "But you have to act normal until we move." Act normal. The hardest thing I've ever done was pretending everything was fine while knowing the truth. For 2 days, I kissed her goodnight, ate her meals, even joked about the rain. She was perfect at pretending, too. Then, late one night, I saw movement outside my truck. A figure crouched near the tires. I stepped quietly to the window. It was Vince, gloves on, crouched low, flashlight in hand. My heart hammered. I called Carla immediately. Within minutes, sirens pierced the night. Vince was caught red-handed tampering with my brakes. The next morning, police came for Sophia and Leo. I watched from the hallway as they led her out in handcuffs, her face pale and eyes wide, not crying, not fighting, just silent. Leo wouldn't look at me. "I didn't want this, Marco," he said, voice cracking. "She said it was just money." I didn't answer. There were no words left between us. The trial that followed was chaos. Reporters filled the courtroom, calling her the widow's web. Ethan testified about the laptop. Tom about the investigation. The prosecutor played that recording, and when Sophia heard her own voice plotting, she closed her eyes and whispered something I couldn't hear. She confessed to 3 of the deaths, accepted a plea deal, and was sentenced to 25 years. Leo got 15. Vince disappeared into a longer sentence for attempted murder. When it was over, the silence felt heavier than any noise. My parents were heartbroken, not just at Leo's betrayal, but at their own disbelief. "We thought you were imagining things," my mother cried. My father put a hand on my shoulder, his eyes full of regret. "You did what you had to do, son." Still, I couldn't stay. Every street corner, every smell of grilled onions, reminded me of her laugh, her voice, her lies. So, I sold the cart, the apartment, even the truck. I gave most of the money to my parents. They deserved peace after what my brother had done, and boarded a bus east with nothing but a duffel bag and a few recipes scribbled in a notebook. I ended up in Boise, Idaho. Small city, quiet streets, clean air. A diner by the river took me in. The owner, Hank, was an old man with rough hands and a soft heart. "You can cook?" he asked. "Good. Don't talk much, and we'll get along." I didn't talk much. I just cooked. Burgers, eggs, pancakes, simple food, honest food. And slowly, something in me began to heal. After a year, Hank retired and handed me the keys. "You've got fire in your hands, kid," he said. "Use it right." That's how Second Flame was born. A tiny diner with 6 tables, pinewood walls, and a chalkboard menu. I hired 2 teens, Mia and Eli, who reminded me of who I once was, hungry to learn, full of hope. I taught them how to cook the perfect burger, not just with heat, but with care. "Cook with heart," I told them. "It's the only ingredient that never burns." Word spread fast. People came not just for the food, but for the warmth. They'd sit, eat, laugh, and sometimes I'd catch myself smiling for real. My parents wrote me letters every week. Their words were soft, healing. Leo wrote too, from prison. His letters were full of regret, full of pain. I forgave him, not for his sake, but for mine. Sophia never wrote. Maybe silence was her way of saying she knew what she'd lost. Now, every evening, I close the diner, step outside, and watch the river flow. The water glitters in the sunset, the same color as her hair once was. But I don't feel anger anymore. Just peace. The smell of cooking still fills my life, but it's no longer the smell of deception. It's the smell of survival, of rebirth. Second Flame isn't just a diner, it's proof that no matter how dark the fire burns, you can always light it again for something good.